I raised my niece like she was my own after my sister passed. When she turned 18, I gave her my savings to start fresh. 2 weeks later, I got evicted. My landlord said the checks bounced. I called her, she laughed and said, "I never asked you to be my mom." I hung up and opened the storage locker I hadn't visited in years. What was inside changed everything. My name is Denise. I'm 48. I used to live in Dayton, Ohio, in a small 2-bedroom apartment over a dentist's office. The kind of place where the hallway always smells like mouthwash and old carpet. I lived there for almost 20 years. That apartment saw everything. But now it's gone. All of it's gone. This story starts with my niece. Her name is Riley. She's not my daughter by blood, but I raised her like she was. My sister Natalie, God, I still miss her, died in a car crash when Riley was just 3. It was a rainy night, some drunk kid in a truck ran a red light. She died instantly. After the funeral, there was no one. Natalie had been a single mom. Riley's father had disappeared before she was even born. No one knew where he went. Natalie never talked about him much, and I never pushed. So when she died, Riley had no one but me. I was 28, single, no kids. I didn't hesitate. I took Riley home with me that day and never looked back. No family court, no big custody battle. Just me, taking care of a scared little girl who had just lost her whole world. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't a mother. I was a secretary at an insurance office and worked nights at a grocery store just to make ends meet. I had no savings, no backup plan. But I made it work. I had to. Those first few years were hard. She had night terrors, tantrums, would wake up crying for her mom. I'd hold her until she fell asleep again. Some nights I cried too, but not in front of her. I'd go to the bathroom, turn on the fan, and sob into a towel so she wouldn't hear. As she got older, it got easier. She started smiling more. She had this laugh, loud and wild like her mom's. She liked drawing, taking pictures, anything creative. I saved up and bought her a used camera when she was 10. She cried when I gave it to her. Said it was the best day of her life. That night I cried too, but for a different reason. By the time she hit high school, I was barely holding things together financially. But I never let her see that. I worked overtime. I skipped meals. I sold my car and started taking the bus. Anything to make sure she had what she needed. I didn't date. I didn't go out. Every penny I had, I saved for her future. College, a business, whatever she wanted to do. I kept a little notebook with how much I had saved each month. I didn't tell her. I wanted it to be a surprise when she turned 18. I was so proud of her. She wasn't perfect, she got mouthy, rolled her eyes, slammed doors, but she was smart. She was going somewhere. I just knew it. Her 18th birthday came. I took her to her favorite restaurant, that little Thai place by the highway. We laughed, shared some pad Thai, and I gave her a card. Inside was a cashier's check for $38,000. Everything I'd saved for 18 years. It was all I had. She stared at it for a second, then tucked it back in the envelope and said, "Thanks." No hug. No tears. Just thanks. Something felt off. But I ignored it. Told myself maybe she was just overwhelmed. That was the last time I saw her. She moved out the next morning. Said she wanted to live with a friend across town. I helped her pack. She hugged me once, quick and stiff, like she couldn't wait to get it over with. Then she was gone. 2 weeks later, I came home from work and found an envelope taped to my door. Eviction notice. I thought it had to be a mistake. I'd paid rent for the next 3 months with the check. I'd even shown my landlord the bank slip. I called him in a panic. He told me both checks bounced. I remember standing there with my phone pressed to my ear, hearing the words "bounced" over and over again. I told him that wasn't possible. The money was there. I logged into my account. Every account I had, checking, savings, emergency fund, was empty. Cleared out. I called Riley. I figured maybe she'd accidentally withdrawn from the wrong account. Maybe it was a bank error. She answered. I asked her what happened. She laughed. I'll never forget how cold it sounded. Then she said, "I never asked you to be my mom. You did that on your own. You can't expect me to pay you back for something I didn't even want." Then she hung up. That was it. I stood there in my kitchen, holding my phone like it might start burning in my hand. I didn't cry. Not right away. I think I was too stunned. I packed a bag and left that night. I didn't want to be there when they came to change the locks. I ended up on a friend's couch in the outskirts of Dayton. She has 2 kids and barely enough room, but she let me stay. I kept to myself. I didn't sleep much. Just stared at the ceiling, going over everything in my head. I kept asking myself the same question: how could she do this to me? Then, on a random Thursday, I remembered something. A storage unit. I'd rented it right after Natalie died. Threw a bunch of her stuff in there. Kept it out of guilt, I think. The rent was automatic. $12 a month. I hadn't been there in years. I figured maybe there was something in there I could sell. Some old furniture. Anything. I went to the facility. Unit B17. I still had the key. It was dusty, smelled like mildew and old fabric. Most of the boxes were stacked neatly, labeled Natalie. I opened one and found photo albums, baby clothes, and a box of letters. Then I saw a plastic bin labeled Nat stuff. Inside was a letter addressed to me. Dated 2 weeks before she died. It said, "Denise, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry. Take care of Riley. I know it's a lot. I trust you. But please, don't trust Aaron. If he ever shows up, keep him away. I've hidden something for Riley. It's in the blue trunk under the albums. Keep it safe. Love, Nat." I found the blue trunk. Inside was $61,000 in cash, neatly wrapped. Labeled by year. I stared at it for a long time. Then I started to laugh. Not because it was funny. Because something in me snapped. Riley took everything from me. Stole my future. Spit in my face. But she didn't know about this. And now I had something she didn't. I had the money. But more importantly, I had her secret. And I was going to find out who Darren was. I didn't sleep that night. The money sat in a duffel bag on the floor next to Jackie's couch. I kept looking at it like it might disappear. I had questions. A lot of them. Why was Natalie hiding $60,000 in cash? Who the hell was Darren? And why did she say he was dangerous? But before I could do anything with the money, I needed to know what Riley was doing. So I made a burner Facebook account and started looking. She had blocked me everywhere, but her account was public. She was living it up in Cincinnati now. New apartment. Designer bags. Bragging about finally being free. Posting pictures at brunch with people I'd never seen before. Laughing like she hadn't destroyed the only person who ever gave a damn about her. One post made my stomach turn. A video. She was sitting across from a guy at a restaurant. He had a shaved head, dark beard, big smile. Probably in his early 40s. The caption said, "Finally met the man who gets me. Black heart, I've never felt more safe." His name was Darren. I dropped the phone. Natalie warned me about him 18 years ago. She said he was dangerous. And now Riley was dating him? I didn't know the full story, but my gut told me she didn't either. I started digging. I went back to the storage unit, pulled out every box, every folder, every envelope. If Natalie had more to say, I needed to find it. There was a photo album labeled 2004. I flipped through. Halfway through, there was a picture of Natalie and Darren. She was pregnant. He was standing behind her with his hand on her stomach. He looked exactly the same. On the back, in her handwriting. Darren, not to be trusted. Never forget. That same day, I paid $29.95 to run a background check on him using his full name from Riley's post. The report was worse than I expected. Darren Allen Mills. 4 DUIs. 1 domestic battery charge from 2007 that got dropped. 2 restraining orders filed and later withdrawn. And 1 sealed juvenile record I couldn't access. He'd bounced between cities for years. No job record. No consistent address. Just like he vanished and reappeared wherever he wanted. My blood went cold. I didn't want to believe Riley knew about this. I didn't want to believe she'd choose this. But part of me wasn't sure anymore. I printed the report and took pictures of everything. I made copies. If anything happened to me, I wanted people to know what I found. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I messaged Riley. New number. New name. I posed as a woman named Jenna, interested in Darren's freelance photography business, something he apparently just started based on her posts. She replied. Said he'd be happy to set up a meeting. We met at a cafe downtown. I wore sunglasses, a ball cap, and a hoodie. My hands were shaking the entire time. He didn't recognize me. He gave me a card with his info and talked about how he loved capturing raw emotion. His eyes darted around. He was twitchy, too confident, like someone who'd always gotten away with things. Before I left, I asked one last question. How long have you and Riley been together? He smiled. Oh, about 6 months. She found me, actually. Said she wanted to meet her real dad. I froze. I don't even remember how I got out of there. I walked 2 blocks before I realized my hands were numb. She knew. Riley knew Darren was her father. And she went looking for him. She found him, lied to me, took all the money I had, and moved in with him. I felt sick. Back at the trailer, I pulled out the letter from Natalie again. Reread it. The warning. The fear in her handwriting. She didn't just say he was dangerous. She said to never let him near Riley. Now Riley had welcomed him in. Called him the man who gets me. Let him live off stolen money. I didn't know what his plan was. But I knew it wasn't good. Riley was either too blind to see it, or too far gone to care. That's when I decided. I wasn't just going to watch this happen. I was going to burn it all down. I didn't sleep for the next 2 nights. I kept playing every scene back in my head. Every moment I raised her. Every time I gave up something so she could have more. And now I knew the truth. It wasn't just about the money. Riley had been planning this for months. She sought him out. She found Darren, the man her mother warned to stay away from. She didn't just let him in, she gave him access to everything I had. But that wasn't even the twist that hit the hardest. That came 3 days later, when I drove back to my old apartment to talk to my old landlord, Henry. I told him the bank had confirmed someone cleared my accounts, and I was trying to figure out how. I was fishing for any hint of what Riley might have done. He looked uncomfortable, like he didn't want to say something. Then he dropped it. She told me she had power of attorney. He said. Said you were sick? That she was handling your bills now. What? He nodded. She gave me paperwork. Looked legit. Said she'd pay you up for the next few months. Even told me you were moving to Florida for some experimental treatment, or something. I felt my stomach twist. She forged documents. I didn't even know that was possible. But apparently she did. Enough to fool him. Enough to move my money and sign checks in my name. She must have had help, maybe Darren. Maybe someone else. And now I realize something else. Riley had been plotting this before she even turned 18. The way she acted on her birthday, how cold she was. It wasn't sudden. She hadn't changed overnight. She'd been pretending for a long time. I went back to the storage unit that night. I didn't even know what I was looking for anymore. Answers, maybe. Something to explain how she turned into this person. But instead, I found something else. There was an old tape recorder in one of the boxes. Natalie's voice was on it. I pressed play. Riley, if you ever listen to this, I want you to know I'm sorry. I'm sorry I let someone like Darren into our lives. I didn't know what he was until it was too late. He scared me. I didn't want you growing up afraid. If he ever comes back, don't trust him. Not even for a second. I know you'll want answers about your dad someday. But not him. He's not the answer. Denise will protect you. She's the only one who ever showed up for me. Listen to her. I sat there in the dark, shaking. Natalie tried to protect her. I did too. But Riley ran straight to the one man her mother warned her about. And now she'd stolen every dollar I had, and I was living on a friend's couch, while she was playing happy family with a con man. No. I wasn't going to let it end like this. So I made a plan. First thing I did was contact a lawyer. Not a big shot firm, just a guy named Chris in Beaver Creek, someone Jackie's cousin recommended. I showed him the forged power of attorney paperwork that my landlord scanned for me. He took one look and said, "This is bad. But it's also criminal." He told me I had a case for fraud. Theft. Identity theft even. But we need more. Proof that she'd accessed my accounts, moved money, and that Darren was involved. I went to the bank next. Spoke to the branch manager. Told her I was looking into possible unauthorized activity on my account. At first, she gave me the runaround. Then I mentioned I'd already contacted a lawyer. Suddenly, she was willing to help. We pulled the statements. One of the transfers, $18,000, was moved into a new account under a joint name. Riley Mason and Darren Mills. That was all I needed. The next day, I filed the police report. Brought in the account info, the background check, the bank statements, and a copy of the forged paperwork from my landlord. The officer said it might take time, but what I had was strong. But I wasn't done. I made one more stop. I went back to Facebook. Made another burner profile. This time, I joined local community groups around Cincinnati. I posted fake reviews about Darren's photography business. I hinted that he had been investigated for inappropriate conduct in other towns. That he was under scrutiny. I didn't say anything that could get me in legal trouble, but enough to make people suspicious. And then, the biggest twist of all. A woman messaged me. Her name was Carrie. She said she used to be with Darren back in 2012. Said she saw my post and wanted to warn me. He had a pattern. He would date younger women, charm them, isolate them from family, then slowly drain them, financially and emotionally. He used lies, forged documents, fake businesses. She said she'd filed a restraining order but dropped it when he threatened her sister. She was afraid. She still was. But she said one thing that chilled me to the bone. He doesn't stay forever. He takes what he wants and leaves. And sometimes, when the money runs out, he gets mean. Real mean. I knew Riley had no idea what she was dealing with. She thought she was in control. She thought this was her new start. She had no idea she was living with a predator. And now I had everything I needed. I had the truth. I had the money Natalie left behind. I had the police report filed. And most of all, I had time. Because they didn't know I was coming. But I was. And they'd never see it coming. 2 weeks after I filed the police report, things started to move. Detective Reeves from Dayton PD called me. Said the bank confirmed I didn't authorize the transfers. He'd spoken with the fraud department. The signatures didn't match. The power of attorney form Riley used wasn't filed through legal channels. And now that we had a name, Darren Mills, things were getting very real. I told him everything. About the storage locker. The cash. The letter. The background check. The joint account. The fake business. The ex-girlfriend who reached out to me. He said one sentence I'll never forget. Looks like your niece and this guy are about to step into something they can't walk away from. And that's when I started to feel it, relief. Cold, slow relief. Not because it was over. But because the part where I lose everything without a fight? That part was finally done. Reeves said they'd work with the Cincinnati police. That gave me time. So I got on a bus. I wasn't going to sit back anymore. I went to Cincinnati and found Riley's building. I didn't go inside. I waited. It took 3 hours, but I finally saw them. She came out first, wearing a white sweater I bought her when she was 16. Then him, Darren. He was carrying a laptop bag and laughing about something. They looked like father and daughter. Like a happy family. I'd never hated anyone so much in my life. I walked right up to them. Riley froze. She didn't expect me to show up in person. Especially not looking like that, gray hoodie, plain jeans, dead in the eyes. Denise? She said, half a whisper. I didn't look at her. I looked straight at Darren. You know she's under investigation, right? His smile vanished. She blinked. What are you talking about? You want to talk to Detective Reeves? Or should I call the Cincinnati PD right now and let them know I found you? Darren stepped forward. Hey, I don't know what she told you, but you need to calm down. I cut him off. Save it. I've already given your name to the fraud investigators. They pulled the joint bank account. You're screwed, Darren. Then I turned to Riley. I raised you. I gave you my whole life. And you gave it to this trash. You forged documents. Lied to people. Stole from me. And for what? Her face turned red. She opened her mouth to say something, but I held up my hand. You think he loves you? Ask his ex, Carrie. Ask the women who filed restraining orders. You're not the first girl he's used. But you might be the first one dumb enough to steal for him. She gasped like I slapped her. You're lying. I pulled out the printed reports. One for her. One for Darren. Criminal history. Bank transfers. Background checks. She snatched the papers and skimmed the top. Then she went pale. Darren tried to grab the page, but she pulled away. Is this real? She asked him, her voice cracking. He tried to laugh it off. She's messing with you. Is it real, Darren? She screamed, this time loud enough to make 2 people stop walking by. He looked around, then said, You said you didn't care about the past. Her mouth dropped open. Then she slapped him across the face. And just like that, they started fighting in the middle of the sidewalk. I walked away. Didn't say another word. I was already walking to the police station to hand over the final piece, the recorded conversation I had with Darren at the cafe. I didn't tell you earlier, but I was wearing a wire mic. The second he said. She came to me, wanted to meet her real dad. I knew I had him. A week later, they arrested him. Turns out he was using fake social security numbers for his business, and had outstanding warrants in 2 states under an alias. They also seized the joint account. Riley was charged with fraud, identity theft, and financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. At the trial, she tried to say Darren manipulated her. That she didn't know what she was doing. That she never meant to hurt me. She cried. A lot. But I told the court everything. I told them about the forged power of attorney. The fake story to my landlord. The fact that she hadn't spoken to me once after stealing my life savings. She got 2 years of probation, 600 hours of community service, and a record that'll follow her for a long time. Darren got 5 years. The money was gone. Most of it. But I had Natalie's hidden stash. The $61,000 she left behind. And I made a decision. I used $8,000 to move out of Ohio completely. Got a quiet place in Asheville, North Carolina. Somewhere green. Somewhere quiet. I gave $5,000 to Carrie, the woman who warned me. And the rest? I started a small fund in Natalie's name for young single moms who need help starting over. Because I know what that life looks like. I know what it costs. As for Riley? I don't hate her anymore. I don't forgive her either. I just don't think of her. She made her choice. And so did I.